Back in May, when Putin threatened to drown the UK in a nuclear tsunami, no one took him seriously. Russia had already had its military proven ineffective in the war in Ukraine, so it used one of the few pieces of leverage it had left on the world, being nukes. If you've been watching the war, you've seen that Russia has made a lot of these nuclear threats, but I'll tell you that internationally at least, these are empty threats and are a desperate attempt to cling at their diminishing global power and geopolitical influence. But this video isn't meant to explain how mutually assured destruction works. We'll be exploring the consequences of Russia using a nuke by exploring a scenario where it happens. Alright, so let's say Ukraine recaptured Kherson City on October 14th after a long and brutal campaign, and Russia's new reserves have failed to make progress in the east. News breaks out in Moscow despite the Kremlin's information filters, and people begin to protest. And Putin, in a desperate attempt to save his reputation, drops a tactical nuke on the city of Kherson as a last-minute retaliation. I looked into Russia's tactical nuclear arsenal, and there's no clear numbers, but everything I saw said a low-yield tactical nuke was between 10 and 30 kilotons, so we'll go with 20. Here's a simulated map of the explosion. Everything in the red would be completely destroyed or badly damaged, and the green area would be the radiation zone. About 22,000 people would die, with 50,000 more being injured. Let's take a look at the political and economic retaliation Russia would face for doing this. Using a nuke in Ukraine would severely hurt Russia's reputation and make them even more of a pariah state than they are already becoming. China and India, who have mostly stayed silent during the whole war, will come out and denounce Russia. As much as it seems like they don't, Russia does care about its reputation abroad. They want to keep their influence, and they want to make it seem like their military can crush any country that goes against them at lightning speed, and they don't have to resort to nukes to do it. It's hard to gauge the response of the United States, but they have a lot of options they could take. I personally think the US would embargo certain Russian exports coming out of St. Petersburg and the Bosphorus Straits. I think this could very well escalate into a ground war with Russia, and the US would definitely win that. This scenario would need a whole analysis video on its own, but Russia has had its best and brightest trapped in Ukraine for the past 7 months. And having 400,000 plus Americans rolling up at your door with air superiority and guns blazing doesn't exactly sound fun. But let's say the US decides to do nothing. Express concern about the situation. Would there be protests in big Russian cities? Yes. Would the people be able to overthrow Putin? Probably not. But the military or National Guard could do it. That's definitely a possibility. I think foreign countries would want Putin gone as soon as possible and could even come up with attempts to kill him. Many countries would stop buying Russian goods and oil, and Russia would face an even worse economic situation than they are already in now. And keep in mind, all of those consequences are just because Putin wanted to show how big his balls are and throw a retaliatory strike at Ukraine. This is why Russia hasn't used nukes in Ukraine, and they never will. Alright, thank you guys for watching. I love doing these analysis videos. It's kind of nice to take a break from the daily updates sometimes. If you want to support me, the link to my Patreon is in the description. You can donate anywhere from $1 a month to $5 a month. It'll mean a lot. You don't have to do it, though. Just watching is great support, too. See you guys.